Past tense. I'll tell you what happened. I rode my bicycle to school last Friday. Present perfect tense. I'll tell you my experience which has created the situation I'm in now. I have ridden my bicycle to school thousands of times. Hi, I'm Eric. Welcome to We Do Grammar Points. In this video, I'll talk about English grammar. I hope it doesn't seem too complicated. Basically, in a lesson like this, I just talk about the main idea. But then, to get good at English, the most important thing is to practice as much as possible. Today's grammar point is the present perfect tense. Using the helping verb have with the past participle form of the verb, you can make the present perfect. She has seen that movie. And we use sign words to say how many times: a few times, already, never, not yet. And we use ever to ask a question about experience. I think a good way to understand the present perfect is by comparing it with the simple past tense. I've gone to that mall 2 or 3 times. I went to the mall yesterday with my friend. When speaking about something that happened in the past, many people who learn English feel some confusion about which form to use. So let's clear that up. If you actually want to talk about the past, saying what happened in the past, you should use the simple past tense. That's what it's used for. Maybe when you were learning English, you had to memorize the past tense forms of all the verbs. You probably practiced a lot, saying walk, walked, say, said, eat, ate, swim, swam, buy, bought, and draw, drew. And if you've done this enough, you must know that the past tense of write is wrote. That's good. Now you can make a sentence about what happened in the past. Like, yesterday I wrote a love poem for my girlfriend. Or you can say, he wrote a novel when he was in Spain. When we use the basic past tense, we're talking about what happened at one specific time in the past. But now we want to study the present perfect tense. And maybe you noticed in the previous examples that I only said one past tense form. When you were studying and memorizing those verbs that I was just telling you about in class, you probably said 3 different forms. For example, walk, walked, walked, say, said, said, eat, ate, eaten, swim, swam, swum, buy, bought, bought, and draw, drew, drawn. The final form is called the past participle, and that's what you use to make the present perfect tense. So using the basic past, you can say, I ate breakfast at 7 o'clock this morning. That's the basic past tense. Or you could use the present perfect tense and say, I have already eaten breakfast. So what's the difference in the meanings of these 2 forms? When we use the present perfect tense, we're not talking about what happened or when it happened in the past. We're not describing the action. We're focusing more on the experience, the memory, and the result of that experience that stays with us forever. I've already finished my homework. As a result, I've learned something new and now I can relax. The result of finishing my homework is still with me. This is also used to talk about how many times we've done something. I've eaten 3 times today. Length of time. He has lived in Los Angeles for 5 years. Life experience. I've seen all the Harry Potter movies. We don't say exactly when any of these things happened because that's not important. We're not describing the actions. These are just experiences that I've lived, and I'm going to keep their effects with me. Here's one more comparison. Present perfect. Have you ever eaten sushi? Yes, I have eaten sushi. Simple past. I ate sushi for dinner last night. In grammar, the word perfect means completed or finished. When we use the perfect tense, we're not describing the action. The action is not the focus. Instead, we're talking about the situation that we're in now because we have completed this action in the past. In other words, the actions we have done in the past have led to the situation we're in now. The present perfect tense is like saying, what happened in the past has an effect that we still feel now. There's a strong connection between what happened and now. So when I say, I have eaten sushi, I don't include specific details about the time of the activity. The activity is not the focus. I'm telling you that this experience still exists in my head, and it makes me who I am now. It affects my memory and my knowledge. To understand the tenses a little better, I usually imagine people talking to a reporter or a judge in a courtroom. If the judge wants to know what really happened and who exactly did what, when, and why, you can respond using the simple past. This tense is used to say that something really happened and to give details about that. She ate the cookie. She ate it in her bedroom after dinner last night. But if you tell the judge, I don't know what he's talking about. I have never eaten a cookie. You're not talking about last night. You're talking about life experience. You're not talking about any specific moment or activity, because this tense is focused on knowledge and experience of something and how it affects you now. Okay, it might be a little hard to understand, but that's how I explain the present perfect. I have explained the present perfect hundreds of times. Now we should look at how this grammar is used. There are several ways. The first way is talking about life experience. Ever questions are good for this. Have you ever gone rafting? No, I've never gone rafting, but I have gone scuba diving. It's also used a lot when talking about number of times. I have gone to that restaurant 5 or 6 times. I have played the guitar every day this week. If something has a deadline, we use the perfect with already or not yet. I have already eaten dinner. I have not finished my homework yet. If you use a stative verb, which means talking about your status or situation, we use the perfect tense to talk about where we are now. This means talking about how long you have done something. And you use words like since, or a number like 5 years, or 7 months, or 3 weeks. I've loved lasagna since I was a child. I've lived near this lake for 5 years. It's also used to explain that something that happened in the past is affecting me now. I can't play soccer this weekend. I have broken my leg. I've lost my keys. I can't get into my car. Be careful. There are many mistakes that people make when trying to use the present perfect tense. I can't discuss them all here, but I'll show you one that is easy to change. Don't use ever unless it's a question. Many students think that ever is the opposite of never, so they think that we can say, I have never played volleyball, and I have ever played volleyball. But this is wrong. Ever is used with the present perfect to make questions. Have you ever played volleyball? No, I've never played volleyball. Yes, I've played volleyball. If you want to include a frequency adverb, you can say, I've often played volleyball. I've played volleyball a few times. I've played volleyball many times, etc. Also, choosing whether to use the simple past or the present perfect is a problem for many learners because they don't know very clearly which to use each time, every time, so they don't feel confident about using the present perfect. Don't worry. There even tends to be a difference between American English and British English. British English speakers tend to use the present perfect a little more. So if they return to their seat in a movie theater and someone is sitting in their seat, they may say, someone has taken my seat. But an American English speaker may say, someone took my seat. Don't worry too much about this. If the difference is a little vague in your mind, it might be hard for native speakers too. As you can see, even native speakers don't always separate the two tenses very clearly. Anyway, maybe I'll talk more about that in another video. I hope this has given you the basic knowledge you need to use the present perfect tense with a little more confidence. And that's the most important thing, to use English. Don't be afraid. By using the language a lot, you'll naturally start to understand it better. All right, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope these videos are good practice for you. If you think it's interesting or helpful, please push the like button below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, if there's something you would like to hear me talk about in the future, just leave a comment. I'll see you next time. Thank you.